This festive season and summer holidays, there's no better time to indulge in Australia's best coffee at Roasting Warehouse. Whether you're in Perth, Brisbane, Athens, or Melbourne, experience the perfect brew crafted with passion. Visit their flagship roastery and HQ in Airport West, where the magic happens, or drop by any of their stunning cafes for not just incredible coffee, but service and a cafe experience like no other. Celebrate this season with Roasting Warehouse.
And it's their leading goal scorer and captain, Stefan Moore.
Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Football Friends with Ben and Stef. We're in a very good mood today because we get to interview one of our ex-teammates, Stef, Oli Bozanic. It's going to be a good chat.
Yeah, it should be. He's obviously just recently announced his retirement. He's getting very active on the socials. The funny thing is we obviously both played with him, but it's also actually related to my wife, Carla. So we're both at his wedding as well. So there you go. The connection runs deep. He's a top guy, and he had a great career. He's obviously moved around to a lot of different teams, which I'm sure we'll touch on all of those. But you know, he's had a really good career, and I think, you know, if you look back when you, or if you're thinking ahead when you're starting your career and you can look back and have that career, most players would take it in a heartbeat, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I would have fucking taken it for sure. But Jesus Christ, I had to, Wikipedia nearly crashed today when I was researching all the teams that he's played for. I didn't realise he played for so many.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're in demand, I guess. You're moving in and out, and I think that's one thing that, like, we're going a bit off topic here, but that's what annoys me when people in Australia complain about, you know, oh, this player's moving to this club and it's a recycled league. That happens in football all over the world. If you look at any player's career, to be honest, anyone outside of Australia, you're constantly bouncing from team to team because you're either going up, you have a good season and you go up, you move to a better team, or you have a bad season and you move down to a worse team or a worse league. And that's just the reality of football, because when you're on and you're hot, everybody wants a piece of you. And if you're struggling, then you're battling to find a club, where here with rugby league and AFL, there's only those leagues. You're not moving anywhere else. So that's what people get used to. But with the world game, obviously, it's a bit different. So that's the way it goes. But Oli is in the waiting room, so we should probably let him in, shouldn't we?
Joining us today, a very special guest, someone that myself and Steph have been lucky enough to share a change room with. Not just a great guy off the field, but also a superstar on the field, played at the very highest level. So giving a very warm welcome to Oli Bozanic.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show.
No worries, we're glad to finally get you on here. Obviously, you know, the big news with you retiring in the last couple of weeks. We've never seen you more active on social media, so you're obviously trying to, I guess, plug the A-League as much as you can and get your name out there. So we thought we'd throw you a bone. We thought we'll throw you a bone. We'll get you on the pod, and then you'll be going to the very top.
That's it. If you get on Football Friends, there's only one way up.
No, there's only one way. It's down, because you've already reached the top if you've got on this show.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into some of the football stuff. We always like to start with the background of, you know, how football kind of came about for you. Obviously, you grew up in Sydney and then spent most of your years on the coast. So when was it that you first kind of discovered football and was something that you were interested in?
I grew up on the Central Coast, and I think it all started from my dad. My dad played as well. He was a Socceroo and played in the NSL as well. So I think I just had that upbringing from my dad, which he was a huge influence on me. And you know, as soon as I could run around, there was a ball in front of my foot, and that's how it basically all started.
That's obviously a good way to be. That's what I'm trying to do with Orlando now, just put a ball at his feet. He's not even walking yet, but I thought if I keep putting the ball there, he'll become a better player than me. So your dad obviously was onto something there. When you were growing up, what was it like? Obviously, you know, now it's completely different with all these academies and the NPLs. For you back then, was it just playing for a junior team and then doing training sessions on your own, or with your dad and your brother? How did that look like? I guess from the ages of 5 through to about 14, 15.
Yeah, obviously from those early ages, it was with my dad, with my brother and sister, just practicing as much as I could in the backyard and just enjoying myself. And yeah, it was a bit different back then. I still remember playing for just my local team up until about, I think it was under 11s or under 12s, and now it's straight in from under 7s, under 8s almost into those academies. So I felt like back then there was a lot more freedom and enjoyment in those early years before you start to get into that real next level and see where you can kind of take it.
When was it that you kind of realised that obviously you were a bit better than the average Joe down on the coast?
Well, I think like early on, as I said, I was just playing juniors. I was just loving playing football. And then when I was 11, 12, then I started to go into the more like the state level or the MPL level at that age, and I could kind of see, all right, this is another step up, and just kind of like testing myself, each stage as it went on. So kind of from then under 12s up, it was like, okay, this is the next level, and then just I was trying to keep progressing all the way through.
Yeah, and obviously you moved to Reading's Academy when you were relatively young. What was that, the first kind of move or first trial, I guess, that you went over there, or was there times before that you went over, and how did that all come about for you?
Yeah, there was actually earlier on, I had the opportunity to trial or train with Manchester United. We had a really good setup at Parramatta Melita under 13s, 14s, and I had the opportunity to go over and trial with Manchester United. So that was a real eye opener to see what the very top level was like. Where you need to be and at your age, and seeing the first team and to get that opportunity at such a young age just really helped me to know where I needed to be and how to progress quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that something that your dad was keen on to get you over to Reading at such a young age? How old were you? Around 17 or 18, if my maths is correct.
Yeah, well, it was. I was back here in Australia, as I said, playing in that MPL level, and then there was Andy Barnell, who's also been involved with the Central Coast Mariners. Most recently, was an agent back then as well, and he was actually the first person to have a chat to me and say, hey, let's get you over and put you on some trials over in England. Like he had obviously was in that world as being an agent, so he got me those first trials, and I had a couple lined up throughout England, and Reading was the first one that I went to, and after I was there for a couple of weeks, they asked me to stay on. And then after that, it was like, they said, yeah, like, we'd love to have you. And I did have these other trials lined up. After hearing that straight away, I was like, yeah, perfect. I'm happy with everything here. The club was, moving in the right direction. And, in those next few years, ended up playing in the Premier League. So it was, the right time to be at a club like that.
And how was the jump up, obviously, from what you were like in Australia, the MPL clubs, the national or junior national teams, if it was that back then, and the state teams? How was that jump then going to Reading, and you were obviously full time? Was it something that took you a while to get used to?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of players, when they go overseas, and you guys can probably both vouch for this as well, is that when you do go over to Europe, the standard is quite a jump, and I think it's more the speed of the game and just the consistency, the amount of hours and training that these clubs and teams put into their youth is what really sets them apart, I think, at that younger age.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the you were in search of first team football going over there? Obviously, you went over so young and you hadn't yet played in the A-League, but you were still in search of first team football. Those couple of loans that you went on, you obviously played a little bit in the lower leagues as well. I'm sure it would have been a little bit of a shock to the system. Did that cutthroat nature of English football, do you think that really helped you to build that thick skin and that resilience as a youngster?
Yeah, I think so. Like even when you go there at 17, 18 at a team like that, you're still playing, a lot of reserve games. If you're, under 18s, reserve games. So, and then you got loans. So that's the beauty of those countries that have multiple leagues and professional leagues at that as well, is that, you could be playing third, fourth, whatever division it is, and you're playing against men, you're playing professional games, and you're playing 50, 60 games in a season over there as well. So you're getting that development so early on in your career that you can just, really, really develop and learn yourself as well, how you play, what you want to do, but also, develop on that side as well.
Obviously, you ended up coming back to Central Coast. What was your thinking behind that? Was there the chance to stay over there in England with Reading, or to go to a different team? And if so, why did you choose to come back to Australia at that time?
Yeah, the choice to come back to Australia then was really around Graham Arnold. Just took up the job at Central Coast Mariners and recruited me to come back to the Mariners, and really set out a good pathway for me to come back and play, and then to try and get back over again like I did, but you never know at the time. But yeah, that was kind of the reasoning behind it. He showed a lot of faith in me to bring me back to the club, and to then help me to progress to the next level.
Yeah, what do you think it was, obviously, about Arnie? He's managed probably a couple of the most successful sides in A-League history, probably one being this Central Coast era, where probably aside from the last couple of years, probably the most successful stint in the club's history. What was it about Arnie?
I think with him, he can bring a team together as well. Like he has good culture, good team culture, and then he's very dedicated to what he's doing. So he kind of leaves no stone unturned there. Like he'll work tirelessly to get everything right with his tactics and his team, and then if things do go wrong, he's very quick to fix it as well. So I think he's just a manager that just breeds good culture amongst the team, which also allows the team to then thrive as well. Obviously, it was a great moment in my career at the Central Coast Mariners to win the title, and then have the opportunity to then sign overseas in Switzerland. And yeah, I kind of knew at that stage it was just a great opportunity to progress my career, and then also from there really push to get into the Socceroos from that as well.
Tell us a little story that you've got about your first month there, or the first month of the season, you hit the ground running, and I've heard this quite a few times from our time in Scotland, but I think you scored 5 goals in your first 3 games. I think you scored a double in your second game, another double in the game after, and then you scored a winner in a 1-0 game. I think you earned yourself a Player of the Month nomination. Tell us a little bit about the other players in the Player of the Month and who ended up winning it.
Yeah, it was. It was a great moment. To start so well for my club there in Switzerland, and we were doing very well in the league for most of that season as well. But yeah, I was lucky enough to take out the Player of the Month against one of your favourite players, Benny. So that was quite nice. You might have the shirt back there.
Well, I've actually got it down here. Big Mo Salah.
That's the one. Yeah.
You said, "Hey, sit down, Mo. The fucking king's in town."
It was Crocodile Oli's time.
How good.
What happened then? What happened after that first month then? If you were flying like that, the goals just dried up?
Yeah, well, it was just one of those things. Like I was just in a very good moment in my career, like where you're playing well and scoring, and then just being a midfielder. It's not my bread and butter to score 20 a season. So I did my best to try and keep scoring, but it just wasn't meant to be for a little while after that.
What
anyway.
position were you playing when you were there to score those goals? Were you playing as a 10?
No, I was still playing like as an 8. An 8. One would play with 1-6, two 8s, and then 3 up front. So it was just I had a bit more freedom to then really push and get into the box to be in good positions and to score really from kind of that formation. And we had a pretty decent decent coach as well, who was Argentinian, and he loved to play football as well. So it was once again, it was good to experience a new country, but also a new coach who had a different football philosophy as well that you can really learn from and take.
Yeah. When you were scoring those goals, were you thinking, I'm getting a fucking big move here. I'm going to the Premier League.
Well, like you're obviously just living, like just loving it in that moment. And,
Yeah.
And I've always tried to keep a level head, and it was probably a good thing because it kind of dried up after that.
It dried up like the fucking Sahara Desert, but it doesn't matter. You obviously
Look, I just wanted to get that Player of the Month. That was
that pipped it off Mo Salah, and he said, "You know what? I can fucking put my feet up now." What was the actual standard like of the league over there in Switzerland?
Yeah, it's a very good league. Very good league, the Swiss league. Very, very technical and very close to, I think it was very close to Germany. Like a lot of players go from that Swiss league and then go straight into the German first division there. So it is a very, very strong league, but they also have a bit of a, they have a bit of a belief in their league as well. Like you have to achieve something within their league first before they kind of want their players to go and progress to that next level. So you do see a lot of players from Basel and Bern that will have a couple of good seasons, win the championship, and then go to one of those big clubs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, it's obviously it was two good years there, and then you decided to come back to Australia again. Like, what was your thinking with that? Like, was there chances to stay over in Europe? Obviously, we all grew up wanting to be in Europe. So to come back to Victory at that point, was that more so based on there wasn't any good offers, or you wanted to come back to be in Australia?
At that time, yeah, there was still some opportunities to stay in Europe, but then there was also a good opportunity to come back to Melbourne Victory, and Melbourne Victory were doing really well. And I think that was kind of the point in the where I look back in the A-League and say, like, I feel like the A-League was at one of its peaks back in that that stage back then as well. Like the competitiveness of that league was a very high standard too. So I think I kind of looked at it as like it wasn't really a step back at that stage. It was maybe a sideways step or a slight step back, but I did feel like there was opportunity to go there, and potentially it can move you onto another level again.
Yeah, and also they saw that you got the Player of the Month over Mo Salah, and they offered the big bucks. So that was also another reason. You said, well, if you want Crocodile Oli, you're gonna have to pay the big bucks. All right, I'll come back.
Your dog's not having it in the background there.
Sasha's not happy. She said, this guy's having one. She said, Victory shouldn't have paid the big bucks for him.
What about, obviously, after, you obviously did come back to Victory, and then you kind of, it was a bit of ping pong. You were back and forth. You went overseas again to Japan with Venture at Kofu, and then back to Melbourne City, and then obviously back again to Hearts. You obviously got to experience a lot because of football and cultures, different countries, amazing leagues as well. Are there any kind of things that stick out over the moments that you were overseas? I know obviously in Edinburgh was a pretty special time. Your second daughter was born there in Scotland. What are your highlights, I suppose?
I guess just the journey. You kind of as a player, you don't really look back too much when you're in that journey. So now you can kind of look back and go like, yeah, there was so many parts of that journey that I really enjoyed, and it's as players still it's good to kind of be present when you're in that journey and really appreciate where you are, and there was loads of moments, obviously a lot of great footballing moments, and also having three daughters as well was obviously a big part of that journey, and being able to start a family and them to experience some of that journey as well. Like my eldest daughter now, she was living in Scotland with us, Benny, she would be always around, and that was a pretty special moment as well. So yeah, there's just so many parts to the journey that I loved, and you can really look back on it once you finish and say, that was pretty special. And I always had that ambition to take opportunity as a player. So I wasn't one to turn down an opportunity or to test myself as well, like to be comfortable. So I have moved from some clubs to other clubs during my career and have played for a few teams, but I've never had that worry in terms of like, I'm comfortable here. Or, I've always wanted to like push myself and really see where this game can take me.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably the best part about it. Obviously, football-wise, like, as you probably know, the second you retire or the second you don't have a contract, like, as harsh as it is, like, you kind of become a little bit irrelevant because the clubs move on. But for you personally, like, those experiences that you get while you're a player, not many people in other jobs can get that. You obviously, like, you lived in Switzerland, England, different parts of Australia, Japan, and I'm sure you've taken bits and pieces of those different cities and how they live their life and how those coaches coached you into whatever you're going to do next. But then probably the biggest thing that all players want to achieve is playing for your national team, and you were lucky enough to be able to do that. You got your Socceroos debut in 2013. You obviously went to that World Cup as well the year after under Ange Postecoglou. What was that experience like, and is that probably the highest moment of your career, do you think?
Yeah, I'd probably say so. Like, representing your country is probably going to be the biggest achievement, and especially at a World Cup as well. So it's definitely that moment of playing at the World Cup, playing for Australia, representing my country, and being a part of that as well. And it was just all, I guess, all part of the process. Like, as I said, like I was playing in Australia, and then I had the opportunity to go overseas, and then I had a really good stint in FC Lucerne, and then that's when I was fortunate enough to get the call up to then represent my country, and it's just all part of that journey, and yeah.
What was it like? Obviously, World Cup. I know probably you look back now, you go, fuck, that's amazing. But in the moment, you played against Netherlands, Spain, some of the best players, high quality, world class players. What was that like? And obviously especially the Netherlands game.
Yeah, I think it's an eye opener to you as a player as well as to like, okay, here is the pinnacle of our game as footballers. Like, this is the World Cup. You can't get any higher. This is as high as it gets. So really take it in, enjoy it. But it also gives you a bit of I guess clarity as well. Is that we're not as Australian players, it's hard for us to really judge where we sit on that level in at the world stage. And I think the more we play at that high level, the more exposure we get to it at younger ages as well, the less frightening it is, I guess, for us as a country to play against these teams. You really play these games and go, you know what, we're not that far off it. We might have lost those games here and there in the moment, but we're not really that far off it. So it's I guess it's that as well, is like you kind of see yourself on that stage and you go, you know what, we can match it with these guys. And I think that was a big part of having Ange there, as well as the manager, as the coach, was just that he instilled that in the players, as like, this is, you are here for a reason and you're here to represent Australia. You are good enough to be here. And it was just like that belief that he would instill in his team as well, that was pretty special in that moment.
Yeah, what was that's what I was actually going to ask next. What was your experiences with Ange like? Do you you see him now, obviously he's under a lot of pressure at Tottenham. He's never changed the way he wants to play, and everyone that's kind of played under him has loved him. For you, what I guess are the biggest takeaways? I don't know if you want to become a manager, but coaching wise, if you were, what are some of the things that you took away from him that you think, I loved that about him, and that's why you maybe played good football and you'd love to instill that into teams that you coach one day?
Yeah, as a manager, he was outstanding. Like he was actually quite reserved as a coach and as a person, dealing with players. But it also, allowed the team to know that's kind of the boundary of the coach and the players. There's no crossover, there's no favoritism, anything like that. And then from like a technical point of view, like at that stage, I think he was like, very advanced, a very advanced coach when he was the Socceroos manager in terms of the way he wanted to play. And I think people were thinking at the time is like, oh, the Australian team can't play like that. That's not how they play. So I think as a manager, he was very, very advanced at the time, and yeah, just kind of the way he just was generally, like very composed. He stuck to what he wanted to do as a coach. He didn't change, and as you just touched on before, like he doesn't change what he's doing, and I think that's why he has been so successful, because he has a clear plan. And I think he always says as a manager as well is like, when you are a manager, stick to what find your philosophy, find what you're doing. Obviously, still keep evolving, but stick to what you're doing, because that's why you were successful in the first place. And like anything in life, if you go and try and emulate someone else or another coach, you're never going to be as successful as that coach is. You've seen like loads of coaches. You've probably had coaches that have had someone that's a superstar of a coach, and then the assistant steps in, and he tries to keep everything the same, but it's just not the same. So I think you really have to find your own formula, your own football philosophy, and stick to it.
He was very advanced tactically, because his A-League teams, before he got the national team gig, basically every other A-League team wanted to try and play the same way. Obviously, there was a Brisbane Roar first, and everyone wanted to start trying to play the tiki-taka, but no one could fucking do it, and we just got the runaround. And then that Melbourne Victory team as well, with the cheating wingers, when Rojas, Barbarouses scored however many goals the two of them scored that year because of the cheating offside wingers, and then every other team wanted to try and do it. And it's the same, like what you said, if you're always trying to emulate another team, they're already 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, because by the time you learn what they're doing, they're onto something else. So,
and as a team as well, it's always like, if you're playing against a team that tries to emulate you, it's almost like you feel like you're 1-0 up already. It's like, oh, they're trying to they go man for man against us. They're trying to copy us. And that's why, I think it's important to stick to what you're doing as a manager, I think that's one of his top qualities, and that's why he's been so successful.
I know with during that period when he was involved with that, and a lot of like me and Ben were with the 20s, 23s as well, and a lot of the drills, like one thing that I noticed was some of the drills that he had used, other coaches tried to use, and they implement it with obviously probably the coaching curriculum. And one of the biggest things, like even what you're saying, like you can't copy another coach, but also you can look on YouTube and you can find out the drills, or you can get the drills given to you by watching his session. But if you don't know the reason as to why you're doing it, and if you can't emphasize the exact reason to why you're doing it, obviously why Andrew's, I think, so good at it is that he would show you, a picture of the game. He would show you a clip of the game. He would then show you the drill that you've done and be like, this is what we're doing in training. We've done it in the game. So then you go out there to training again, and you can actually understand exactly what you're trying to do and achieve. And then the players are all on the same page, where another coach tries to do it and players are looking around thinking, fuck, what are we trying to do here? And it's just fucking chaos. And you're like, it's that messaging from the coach is so big. It's the same with every job in life, I'm sure. You can say to do one thing, but if it's not clear, then it kind of means fuck all, really. And that's where I think his special power is how he gets that message across. On the training field, but in the video rooms, is so amazing. And then just lastly, we'll touch on your third spell. I think it was back at the Mariners. Was third or second spell?
Third, because I was there. Very early on. As before I did go over to I was like train on with the Mariners, and I played in a couple of preseason cup games as well before going over to Reading. So third spell.
So you've come back. How was that? Obviously that was probably a different time for the club when Central Coast were a bit of a shambles. You going back there kind of steadied the ship. You were captain. It was all going really well. How was that first period when you were back there at Central Coast?
Yeah, that was a really special time for me to come back to my hometown and to represent Central Coast Mariners. being obviously the hometown club, and then being able to captain the club. And yeah, it was a really special time because the club was really struggling. The last few years before that was like at the foot of the table, and it was kind of like no one really wanted to go to the club as well. So it was it was just it was a big project really to come to the club and to help improve the whole club in general, but then also to improve as a football team. And in that season we did really well, right up the top there for most of the season.
Was that the year with Stage?
Yeah, yeah.
That was the turnaround year really before.
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Monty
yeah.
came
It
in
was
the
a big
year after.
turnaround year. There was obviously a lot of changes. I think it was just after that first COVID spell, and then there was I think we had a shortened season, so there was a lot of games in a short period of time. But yeah, that was really nice to obviously come back to my hometown club and represent the club and to be captain and to play here.
And then, if you're allowed to talk about it, what ended up actually happening? Because like, I can't remember if I was even still playing in the league then, or if I was overseas. I just remember just like seeing that you weren't playing anymore, and obviously you weren't injured. So I guess this is where probably the fans and people at home don't really know what goes on at the club. If you're able to kind of explain what happened, what was it that stopped you from playing? And then obviously you moved on to Western Sydney and Perth. But what I'm assuming you wanted to stay at the club. I'm assuming you wanted to play for the club. You were captain. You were flying personally on the field. So what was it exactly that?
It was just purely a choice from the club not to continue with my contract. And yeah, as I said, I always said that I wanted to stay and to continue to play for my hometown club, and it was really the choice of the club and to not continue that contract. And there was nothing more after that I could do. And then after that I decided to move on, and that's where I ended up at Western Sydney.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There were obviously during that period, the club was obviously in a huge transitional phase, and I'm sure that that's not the only decision that they probably look back on in those times that were moments that maybe shaped the history of the club at that time. But you still obviously were there and playing really, really well. So for you, you can obviously hold your head up high. Then you obviously you went on to Western Sydney and Perth, and now you've kind of been out of the game for 12 months, and it's just recently come out about your retirement, I suppose. How has that last 12 months been? What have you been up to? I know you've obviously got your young family who are probably very happy to have you around full time, and you're obviously set up now there on the coast. What's ahead in the life of Crocodile Oli?
It was kind of that moment when I was in Perth. I wasn't able to stay there, and I finished up in I think it was February of last year, last season. And that was at that stage I was looking to still play on, and I had some options to continue to play on. But yeah, as I said before, like it was just a time in my career where I was ready to settle down and set up back here at home, and my kids are now at school, and it was just the right time and the next chapter and journey in my life. And yeah, I've been now able to jump in and help some younger footballers now to develop, and I think that's kind of my kind of next journey and next part of the trip is to help the next generation.
Yeah, so you're going into coaching. You've got the football facility down there, don't you? So is it you want to start an academy with that, or you want to get into some junior coaching with any NPL clubs down there? What exactly are you looking to do?
At the moment, I'm just I'm running the football that we have on the coast here at Ultra Athletic, and yeah, I'm just looking after that and just kind of taking it one step at a time, trying to build that and stay in the game, and really just take my time on it, and be around for my family, and then see what comes next.
Yeah, it's not easy. I was just going to say, like all players talk about it when they finish. It's not easy. Has Has there been some moments, I guess, where you've struggled, mentally? Obviously, you go from being in a change room where there's 25 other like-minded guys, the banter's flying, and then you go to, all right, now I'm, not that it's a bad thing being at home with your family, of course you love it, but, that's then full-time. Was there some moments where I guess you struggled and wasn't really sure of what your next direction was going to take you in?
I think after you finish, you always have those moments, because it's not like, it's our career, and we do it from we kind of talk about it when we do it from 16, 17, 18, I don't know, whenever you kind of start your professional career. So maybe you're saying 15, 20 years, but really you probably know yourself, you probably had from a very young age that you wanted to be a professional footballer. So you're already in your mind from a very, very young age that this is kind of what I want to do, almost like who I am, my identity. So yeah, you kind of in a way, after you finish, you take a bit of time to come to that realization. But yeah, as I said as well, at that age now where I haven't finished my career early. So I think if I was a lot younger, 29, 30, and I finished now, it would be a lot different to kind of the age I'm at now to be able to say, yeah, look, I'm ready to stop playing. So I think it's more really when you are ready as a player to say, yeah, that's my time, and I'm ready to hang it up.
I think it's good that you've got that kind of that closure about it, and that you're very happy and content with your decision. So I think that's probably the most important thing. When you go out of it, you can probably be a lot happier, and you don't maybe leave stones unturned, which I think is important. But
yeah, I think that's definitely a big one. As I said to you before, I always in my career, I would always take the opportunity, and it's I feel like I've squeezed everything I can out of myself to give myself that opportunity to play at the highest level, and I don't feel like I could have done more or look back on any moments and say, oh, I wish I was more professional there. I always had that mentality to be as professional as I can to play at the highest level, to always take those opportunities, because you never know as a player when your time is done. It could be, as I said, some players early on in their career have career-ending injuries, or just are clubless for a few years and then it's done at in their late 20s. So for me to be able to play from pretty much 17 through to 35 is something that I'll be very happy with, and I had my injuries along the way, which kind of always put it into perspective as well, with knee injuries, where they're saying to me yeah, you're probably going to need another knee op when you're 30, and I didn't end up having one for my whole career, and I broke my back at one stage. There was injuries that can kind of put a bit of reality back into life and into football as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that's all part of the journey. And you spoke about squeezing everything out of your body. One thing that me and Ben want to know is how do you have the physique that you have without stepping into a gym? It's impossible. I've never seen it before. Ben's never seen it before.
Best six pack of all time, they're saying.
It was the gym program that Benny had me on in Hearts. That's what it was. It was the early morning yoga sessions and the gym sessions.
We did our fair share of Sunday morning yoga in Scotland. There wasn't much else to do, so we tried to do something. But,
we had the Saturday night session, but then we had the morning.
Exactly.
Gym session.
Yeah, we always backed it up with a nice early morning.
There was always a balance to it, right?
Exactly. Balance is key. But can we just bug you for one last thing that we've started to introduce now with our guests? It's just a quick fire, couple of questions.
Don't be like Archie Thompson. The quick fire questions turned into fucking long fire, and we were all burnt alive in there because he took about 5 minutes to answer each question.
So,
right, let's go.
The first one, most memorable moment of your career?
World Cup.
Okay.
Best player you've played with, and you can't say either one of us. We know you would.
I'm going to say Jimmy Holland. Jimmy Holland was another coastie boy that I played with, and it was. I don't want to drag this out for too long, but we played against each other from under sixes, and we went all the way through and ended up representing obviously Australia together at the same time. So that was a pretty special moment. I guess it's like you too.
Yeah. Might have to get him on the podcast, Ben.
Honestly, ripper bloke as well. So yeah, he could definitely be one.
Just
Best
call him out.
player, yeah, true. Best player you've played against. Surely got to be someone from the World Cup.
Almost Salah, if he was there in fucking Switzerland.
Yeah,
Almost
true.
Salah. Yeah, that was yeah. Let's go with that one.
Wow,
Not bad.
massive.
He's carrying Liverpool right now. Without him, Liverpool would be fucking last.
Nah.
It's true.
Best advice for young
Don't
footballers.
shake it off.
Obviously, you're working with young footballers now. So if you could only say one thing to them, one little bit of advice that you think that will help them for their career, what would that be?
Self-belief.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, great one. Best stadium you played at? Got to be surely Celtic Park or Ibrox.
Yeah, they were very good stadiums. Can't go past Tiny though.
Yeah, true.
Put it in the background, mate.
True. Yeah, there's in the
There's
background.
someone sitting in the stadium right now.
Yeah, if you
see it.
can't see, there's the stadium. I don't know what it used to do. It used to go up. Show us, Oli. You've got me sitting on the stadium as it's been propped up. Not sure if it's going to be clear enough for you guys to see at home, but
Can you see it there?
that's brilliant.
There
And-
you go. And then the last one we'll do your dream five-a-side team. 5 players that you've played with, and then 5 that obviously is anyone in the world that you want to choose in your team.
Oh wow. All right, we'll go Ben, Steph,
Yourself,
James Holland, myself, and
Matty Ryan, surely.
Matty Ryan. Go Matty Ryan then.
Fuck, it's a good
Yeah, we need a
call.
goalkeeper.
A few workers in there.
Yeah.
We won't lose our runners. We won't fucking lose the runners.
We won't lose the runners.
Oh, that's quality. Wait, is there one more, Steph? Is there the other
five just best in the
All-time,
world.
your all-time
Anyone that
five-a-side.
you would want in your dream five-a-side.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, number 1, Messi. Are we including ourselves as one of the 5,
Nah.
or do we have to sit on? Do we have to sit off
Yeah, you're off. You're off on the bench.
Yeah, on the bench.
4 others? All right, we'll go Ronaldo. We'll have them together. Who else are we gonna have? And then we'll have Ben and Steph in there as well, just to balance balance like the elite.
With the
And we need a bit of
semi-pro.
work in the middle there. And then we'll put Matty in goals as well, so that'll just be a good balance all round.
Matty Ryan, wow.
Hey, you made both teams, guys.
You made the. Honestly, some things you can predict. Obviously, I knew that I would have been in there. I'm not sure I would have gone as far to put Steph in both of them, but that's all right.
Okay, now. Tell you what, Matty Ryan, what a career he's had. He's fucking. If we do this with him, man, best player you played with, fucking hell, the list is endless with the clubs that he's been at.
That's true.
It's
Well,
a lot of good players have come from the coast, haven't they?
Yeah, there has been a lot of very good players that have either from the coast or played on the coast that have then gone on to play overseas. So yeah, it has been a very good development part of Australia, and I think there'll be many more to come with what's happening here on the coast at the moment as well. So yeah, there's a lot of good things happening within. Sorry.
With your football academy.
Oh yeah. Not to mention that, but there is a lot of good development that's happening on the coast that is giving good pathways to young juniors to be able to go through all the way to play for obviously the Mariners being their A-League team as well. So it's good to see that there's schools now that have full-time development training and programs that then lead into that development into the Mariners and into CCU, another club that's also providing that opportunity for youth development here.
Yeah, it's look, it's awesome. I'm sure. On a serious note, with your help, there's obviously it's a very good and strong breeding ground on the coast. I'm sure with people like you that are coaching and nurturing that next generation, there's going to be quite a few more stars playing for Central Coast Mariners in the next 10 or so years. So look, we won't keep you any longer. Thank you. You've been very generous with your time. We know it's time is precious for you, and you've been an hour away from the girls. So thank you very much for joining us, Oli. Great insights and a fantastic career. Congratulations on your retirement and all the best. I'm sure we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure to be on, and good luck with everything.
No worries. Cheers. And that's a wrap. Another great chat. Obviously, hopefully the technical difficulties didn't come through to the listeners, but we had a few times he was dropping in and out. Obviously, the internet up on the coast isn't great. Top place to live, but obviously the internet needs some work, and we got there in the end. It was a great chat, obviously going through all the different clubs that he played for and the special memories that he's made, and now obviously being able to spend more time with his family on the coast. But yeah, he's always a good guy to speak to, and someone that I think has given a lot to Australian football, and I'm sure now he's going to give even more off the field with what he's trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for us personally, you played with him, you were still quite young when you played with him, and the same as me when I spent the time with him at Hearts. And he was actually a great role model, to be honest, to someone to look up to. And he speaks really well. He's a smart guy. He's got a top mentality and mindset, and his professionalism was something that shone through, I think, probably for his whole career, but from the time that I was with him at Hearts as well. Super professional in the way he does things. So he was someone that I was very close with during my time there, and someone that I got to look up to and kind of model myself off. So I think there's...
That was because you had no friends there, though, wasn't it?
No, I had plenty of mates there, but I lived across the hallway from him, so I couldn't get away from him even if I wanted to. Even if he was a shit bloke, I still would have had to be nice to
He
him.
was thinking, fuck, Benny's across the hallway with Jazz. If we ever need babysitters, we'll just chuck the little one over here, and him and Floss can go out for dinner. So he was very strategic about it, because he told me off air that he actually doesn't rate you.
Well, maybe we just fucking cut it and we don't actually record this. We don't put this episode out. Nah, he's a legend. He's a great guy, top career. Like to get to the level that he got to, you don't get there by fluke. He came back a couple of times again and then still went overseas. So, you got to come back, you got to perform and prove yourself to go back overseas. And he did that quite a few times. So
yeah, exactly.
his quality has always been something that's shone through.
Yeah, but that's all we have time for today, guys. Obviously, a big weekend of A-League coming up again, so make sure you tune in. The only game you really need to worry about is Friday night. The Reds taking on the Mariners. It's been probably 5 years, I reckon, 5 seasons maybe, since we've beaten Central Coast away. So we definitely want to go there, continue on our perfect start to the season, or not perfect, not as perfect as Auckland, but very good start to the season anyway. So big game for us Friday night. Where are you playing at, or where are you sitting in the stands watching?
We got Sydney FC actually away, so they're obviously coming off the loss from Central Coast, and Central Coast obviously bouncing off the win. So we'll see, I suppose, how those two teams continue on. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week of football. Looking forward to discussing it and dissecting it all again on Monday. So I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you follow us. If you're not following us already, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, because we've been gone for 2 and a bit seasons now. If you need our socials, they're at Football Friends Pod on Insta and TikTok, at Ben and Stef Pod on X, and Football Friends with Ben and Stef on YouTube. We'll see you guys on Monday.
Thanks, guys.